Hi, welcome to a special episode in my channel. This episode will be informal, and as you listen to me talk, I'll be simulating a game between the best players from about 10 to 15 years ago versus the best players today. Computer will be controlling both teams. As Ronaldo and Messi pose for us, we go through the team list. For the classic players, I've selected Real Madrid as we begin with Buffon in goals from 2002 to 2006, Cannavaro from about the same time, Maldini from 1994, Thuram from 1998 to 2002, Roberto Carlos from about 1998 to 2004, Patrick Vieira from 1998 to 2002, Davids from about 1996 to 1998, Luis Figo from about 2000 to 2004, Zidane from 1998 to 2006, Ronaldinho from 2002 to 2006, and Ronaldo up front from 1996 to 1998. For the modern players, I've selected Barcelona, and we have Casillas in goals, Thiago Silva and Puyol as centre backs. I considered many other defenders like Terry, Ferdinand, Samuel, Lucio and various others, but I think these two were the best during testing. Right back, Maicon of 2010, left back Marcelo. I don't know why, but I couldn't get any other left back to gel well enough with the rest of the team. I tried various different ones like Evra, Maxwell, even tried Dani Alves at left back and Philipp Lahm. In midfield I have Xavi and Iniesta, Kaká of 2007 in an attacking mid position, Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo as supporting strikers just behind Zlatan Ibrahimovic. I wanted to put Eto'o up front, but he wasn't in the game. I tried Falcao, Villa, Rooney, Van Persie and some others, but none were doing the damage. I tweaked and prodded these sides from formations to tactics to personnel changes, and what I was finding was many 1-1 draws or 3-4-0 wins to either side. Sometimes one team would have all the ball and the other team looked like amateurs. I watched for about 30 games before settling on this one. Just a point to note that this isn't a perfect simulation, it's just for fun as I talk over it, and you shouldn't take anything from it. I went through many players to select for the final 11, so some honourable mentions for Schmeichel, Barthez, Van der Sar, Oliver Kahn as well as Gianluca Pagliuca for goalkeepers. Defenders like Nesta, who wasn't in the game, I wanted to use him instead of Cannavaro. De Boer and Stam from Holland, Desailly, Cafu and plenty of others. Midfielders like Dunga, Scholes and Simeone, attacking midfielders like Rivaldo, Beckham, Giggs, Totti, and strikers like Batistuta, Vieri, Bierhoff, Henry, Bergkamp, Bebeto, Del Piero, Inzaghi and Romario. For the modern team, there was Manuel Neuer from Bayern Munich, Julio Cesar from the 2010 treble team and Peter Cech in goals. Defenders I could have selected were Samuel, Lucio, Terry, Ferdinand and Chiellini. Defensive mids like Xabi Alonso, Schweinsteiger, De Rossi, Cambiasso. In attacking positions there were Lampard, Gerrard, Ribery, Pirlo, Robben, Ozil. And up front there were strikers like Rooney, Villa, Klose, Van Persie, Aguero, Eto'o and Cavani. I wanted to perform this simulation on FIFA 2013, however many of the classic players I wanted to select like Ronaldo, Figo and Zidane were not in the game, and I didn't really have time to make the models and give them stats. I might use an older version of FIFA 2011 or 2012 to create a custom league with some of the best teams in history, both club and international combined, like Real Madrid from the 50s, Eusebio's Benfica, Mazzola's Inter Milan, Beckenbauer's Bayern Munich, Pele's Santos, Van Basten's Milan, Kevin Keegan's Liverpool, Juventus of the late 90s, the original Galacticos and today's Barcelona and Madrid teams. If you have any more suggestions, I'm thinking of a 20-team simulation. Please comment down below and give me suggestions for teams to use. The criteria for these teams is that it must have dominated Europe in their league or international competitions for several years, not just 1 or 2 trophies. Anyway, to the main point of this video is to speak about a few things on my mind that have come up while I've been researching for my video about comparing Lionel Messi to great players of the past. Hopefully this video will be ready for near the end of January. One thing about the comparisons I was seeing was this idea that because something is new and modern it's better. That really isn't a hard and fast rule. There are so many things that are just playing better in the past than they were now. We've made so many advancements, but not all of them have been improved. I will make a video about this topic in future, but to explain now, the quality of some things are not as good as they used to be, like some buildings and architecture that have lasted hundreds of thousands of years, yet some buildings nowadays don't last more than 20-30 years. Engineering wise, we have created some amazing machines, but their longevity is not like some machinery in the past. Medicinal advances haven't got rid of cancer, AIDS or autoimmune diseases like diabetes. It might have relieved them, but we're nowhere near to cures. It just seems money is a huge factor in who gets medical care as well, leading to the fallacy that we as a human race are civilized more so than in the past. Many shocking things happen all over the world, too shocking for a self-professed civilized society, like murder, rape and wars, but I digress. So to use this notion as a rule of thumb is erroneous. In footballing terms, you could argue that although football has progressed, the overall quality of footballers has declined. Tactics have recycled, like the old catenaccio system created in the 60s by one of the greatest coaches of all time, Helenio Herrera, is now called parking the bus. The system is exactly as it was in the 60s, and contrary to popular belief is much more than filling the box with all 11 players, and the best way to describe the system is Milito's goal in the Champions League final in 2010. Julio Cesar threw out the ball, Sneijder and Milito exchanged 2 passes and Milito went on to score. Barcelona's tiki-taka is just a simpler version of total football invented by the Dutch employed at Ajax and their national team. One major difference is that the total football had a greater emphasis on players being able to adapt to different positions. Barcelona changed that system, doing away with formations as players take fluid roles and hold the ball with short passing to create openings and chances on goal. The fluidity in the team means that position teams find defending against it difficult and resort to zone marking or parking the bus instead of man marking. And you can see examples of this in history, as Germany used discipline in overcoming the insatiable Dutch in 1974, or when Herrera used catenaccio against Puskas' Real Madrid but was outdone by Ajax a few years later. England are still playing the same hoof and run style they've always played, focusing on long balls and crosses and a disciplined style of play. What has changed about football is that players have better recovery times, nutrition and fitness, and that might factor in some way, but do modern players have the strength to play effectively on bad pitches with leather balls and heavy boots? The speed of the game is relatively the same, as one could argue that Barcelona play a slow, patient passing game, only increasing pace if needed. Some older teams played with great pressure and constant attack, like Pele's Brazil or Jacques Stein's Celtic and Puskas' Real Madrid. Believe it or not, football has always been a high pressure sport and very commercialised, and professionals played football as they do today. They would train and were generally healthy and fit people. Not just any Jimmy could become a footballer. Prima donna behaviour and diving and simulation were unheard of. This brings me on to another common misconception, is that some people will try and imply that Messi would have 1,000 goals if he played in Pele's era. But if you're experimenting something, there has to be constants. You can't just put Messi in the 1960s and the 1970s in isolation and think he's going to have all the nutritional and fitness advantages he has now, or that he's even going to be able to play with the same synthetic ball and such a fine pitch. Would he even be able to become a professional footballer with the HGH injections he had from modern medicine? And the same holds true for the people who think that Pele wouldn't be able to keep up with the pace of today's game. If Pele was playing today, he would have all the same advantages modern players have and play with the same tactics and under the same conditions as today's players. If you remove these constants, then you have no credibility in your argument. So how do you judge the greatest? I've been thinking about all the criteria, like trophies a player has won, what kind of team they've played on, who their contemporaries were that challenged their throne, how many goals strikers score, how few goalkeepers and defenders concede, and many other things in my research, and I find fault with each one of them, as within those criteria the variables are so many. For example, the weight of a goal, how good the leagues are they played in, and the level of competition within that league. And this brings many opinions with it. This is another thing I want to address. If you have an opinion about something, know that it's an opinion, not a fact. It may be based on a fact, but it's not a fact. An example would be that the Brazilian Ronaldo has scored 15 goals at all World Cups he's played in combined. That's a fact. Saying that all those goals were amazing is an opinion. That opinion, while true to you, won't be true for another. I got into an argument on my last video as someone claimed that because Messi plays in a centre forward position, he faces more defenders than Cristiano Ronaldo, and it somehow amplifies his achievements. I disagreed and felt that it wasn't important enough to address, and he went on to state that due to my disagreement, I didn't know anything about football. Now, I'm not going to say anything about his claim or say anything like Messi isn't the only player up there with 11 players in front of him. He does have teammates up there attacking with him 90 minutes while Ronaldo's waiting for the bus to arrive. I urge people to understand that an opinion isn't a fact, and while it's important to you, it's not important to others. I'll leave you with this to think about. What do you think makes someone the greatest player of all time? Leave your comments down below, like, subscribe and share. Also look out for some of my other videos. I'm just putting the final touches on the Ballon d'Or 2012 video and the top 20 transfers of all time in gold. They will be out within the next 24 hours. Anyway, we finished the game 2-1, and you can pause the video to see the breakdown of the game. Goal scorers were Ibrahimovic for Barcelona, and Ronaldo assisted by Zidane, and Ronaldinho with a wonderful free kick for Real Madrid. A quick shout out to Persian Broski Nation, who shared my video on his Facebook page. Got me quite a few hundred views from that. Link is in the description. He makes Cristiano Ronaldo compilations, and if you like that sort of thing, go and give him some love. Peace.